a president of the United States running for re-election. Current sitting president is running for re-election. 3.5 months from the election, decides not to run. 3.5 months from the election, he decides not to run. 3.5 months before the election, decides not to run. With 107 days to go. With 107 days.
Yeah.
With 107 days to go. And it ended up being the closest presidential election in the 21st century.
Will you run again?
So,
will you run again?
Going forward,
will you run
that's
again?
what,
You'd like to run again?
that's not in my immediate
Not
focus.
right.
I'm doing my book tour, and please everybody come out. I'm going to a lot of cities.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about more humiliation and embarrassment for former Vice President Kamala Harris, who at this point I thought that she hit rock bottom, but it seems as if she has not hit rock bottom just quite yet, okay? Because despite the fact that her career is basically over, okay, she is now peddling a book that nobody's going to read. And let's just say that her book tour is not working out too well, okay, as she is going on all these shows and claiming that she lost the election because she didn't have enough time. Not because she wasn't a good candidate, not because she was the vice president of the worst administration of the last 20, 30 years, okay, at least of the 21st century thus far. Not because she did a bad job, not because she is terrible in interviews. No, it's not any of that, right? It's because she didn't have enough time, and on top of that, it was the bigotry, right? Sexism and racism also played a factor as well, according to the cackling hands on The View.
It was a very difficult. I mean, I know many people experienced it in different ways, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I was at that Philadelphia rally the night before, and I was sitting behind your husband, Doug, and Maya and your family. And I remember hugging them and them telling me, we got this. I felt so good going into Election Day, and then I read in the book that you did too. I went into Election Day thinking you were going to win.
Yeah.
So did you.
Yeah, I did.
So, I mean, it was a very tight race, but ultimately, if you have to pin it down to one thing, what was the primary reason, do you think, that you lost?
There are many factors, I think, that played into the outcome of that election. But I think probably one of the biggest in my mind is we just didn't have enough time. And by the way, another piece of what is unprecedented and a bit historical about that race, it is the closest presidential race in the 21st century in terms of the outcome.
Wow. Yeah.
The closest.
Say that again, because he likes to say over and over again he's got a mandate.
And that's part of why I wrote this book, because history will talk about this race.
Yeah.
It is part of American history. And it was important to me that when history is written, that my voice be present about what that experience is.
A lot of people, I'm included, and President Biden also, think that a lot of it is about racism and sexism. And those are the reasons that you really lost, not because of the time thing. What do you say to that? Do you think this country will ever elect a woman president? In my lifetime, probably not.
I beg to differ. I believe that we will. And listen, you know this, and I've been honored to be on this show many times and talk with this esteemed group. Every office I've held, I've been the first.
Yeah.
Usually the first woman, and then often the first woman and the first person of color. The only time actually I was the second, when I was the second Black woman ever elected to the United States Senate in its hundreds of years history. So I'm not naive. Race and gender do play a factor in some people's minds about how they vote. But my history tells me, because I have been the first in all of those, that people ultimately want to know that this is the best person to do the job, and that's their focus, and that's how I've always run. I've never run as a woman or as a person of color.
But you and Hillary
I have
Clinton,
run because I believe I'm the best to do the job.
All right, y'all, quick break from the show, because this is important. Look, we talk a lot here about standing up for yourself, not letting big corporations, the government, or anybody else push you around. But what happens when real life hits, car accidents, workplace injuries, medical mistakes, and suddenly you're the little guy going up against a massive insurance company. Well, that's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. There's a reason reporters never run out of breaking news. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They've recovered over $25 billion for 500,000 clients with more than 1,000 lawyers nationwide, and they're built on one simple idea. For the people. That means when you're hurt, you don't pay them a dime up front. They only get paid if you win. And trust me, these big companies have teams of big lawyers working against you. You need somebody just as powerful fighting for you. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. If you're injured because of somebody else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. So if you've been hurt in an accident, at work, or anywhere in between, don't roll the dice alone. You can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Because at the end of the day, protecting yourself and your family isn't just common sense. It's conservative values in action. Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Okay, there's a whole lot of cope there from Kamala Harris, who clearly has been drunk and probably still drunk for the last year, okay? Since she lost the election, she is still drunk, because you have to be drunk to believe, first and foremost, that the only reason you lost is because you didn't have enough time, especially considering how the liberal media gave you a handicap by essentially pushing positive propaganda on your behalf 24/7 and anti-Trump propaganda alongside the positive press for Kamala Harris. Pretending as if she was the best thing since sliced bread, softball interviews. Like, come on. Hey, really, Kamala, the reason why you lost is because you didn't have enough time. But again, you know that this is delusion, because she also goes on to say that, well, this was the closest presidential election of the 21st century. Now, I'm not entirely sure what metric is Kamala Harris using, right? Maybe this is what they call whole math, right? You know, that's the thing. That's the thing on the internet called whole math, right? Maybe this is whole math, right? I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, okay? But that's just certainly not true. Not by the standards of the popular vote or by the electoral college. Like, for example, Joe Biden and Harris in 2020, that race against Trump was closer. When Trump beat Hillary in 2016, that race was closer. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what she's talking about, right? But for whatever reason, the liberal media, they just nod along, right? Yes, as Kamala lies, right? Lies to their face, okay? But hey, Kamala is getting a lot of backlash from individuals who are upset with some other comments that she made in her book. Like, for example, saying that she didn't pick Pete Buttigieg for VP because he's gay, right? Basically, she discriminated against a gay man because she thought that America was too bigoted for a black woman or alleged black woman and a gay man, right? Which, you know, at the end of the day, it's just hilarious because they accuse Republicans of being discriminatory towards gay people, but you don't see Republicans openly admitting that, we discriminated. We didn't pick this guy because he was gay. I mean, even Scott Bassett, who is the most powerful gay person in the country right now, even he weighed in on this, roasting Kamala Harris for these comments alongside Democrats as well. Take a look.
She wouldn't take on Pete Buttigieg because he was gay, because she said it was a risk to have a running mate who was a gay man. Your reaction?
Three things, Maria. First, it shows her emphasis on identity politics, and the American people have moved on. Two, it shows how low regard she holds the American people, that she was just a terrible candidate. And three, you wouldn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he might have been the worst transportation secretary in history. Like, if I thought I was left a mess at Treasury, I can tell you, your friend, my friend, Sean Duffy, our great transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg left him a mess. The FAA is a disaster. The Amtrak, anything to do with transportation was woefully neglected over the past 4 years. So, she judges him on his identity, his sexuality. Let's look and see whether he did a good job. Let's look on merit, and I can tell you, on merit he's a failure, and on merit she's a failure.
One of the reasons why some people are not happy about it is because she has some unflattering things to say about people that she did not pick as her vice presidential nominee. Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona. Pete Buttigieg, who says she didn't pick him because he was gay. She didn't think the country could take it. It was too much, a black woman and a gay man. That's what she said, not me out there. She also said some not so great things about her own running mate's debate performance.
Yeah, she's settling a lot of scores, seems a little thin-skinned, and looking, I think, for excuses. Maybe this is a way of clearing the table for her to have a political future. She didn't lose because of any of that. She had a shortened campaign. That's tough. She lost because she didn't make a persuasive case to the American people, and that's why she lost. Is that in the book?
Yeah. So I'm still trying to figure out how in the world did Kamala Harris, in her mind, square not picking Pete Buttigieg because he's too gay for America, right? But then she turned around and picked suspected meat watcher Tim Walz, right? I'm trying to figure out, how do you square not picking a gay man and then turn around and picking the most feminine straight male, alleged straight male that you can find? It does not make any sense to me, okay? It really speaks to her judgment, which is bad. It's really bad, okay? And like I told you guys, it is getting just worse for Kamala Harris because on this book tour, not only is she pissing off Democrats, I mean, conservatives already did not like Kamala Harris, right? So she's pissed off conservatives, she's pissed off Democrats, and apparently she's also pissing off the far left, okay? Because the far left showed up to disrupt Kamala Harris's first stop on book tour over, you guessed it, Israel and Gaza.
Please. I actually also write about this, okay? Which is about what I know about how and why you are saying what you are saying now and how I felt about it. You're not letting me talk. You know what? I respect your right to speak, but you're not letting me speak. Unlike the current president of the United States. What's happening right now in Gaza, what is happening to the Palestinian people is outrageous and it breaks my heart. I'm not president right now. There's nothing I can do.
A lot of articles and interviews going around since Kamala Harris's book 107 Days has dropped. This one is particularly galling. Harris acknowledges becoming frustrated with left-wing Gaza protesters. The threat to withhold their vote got to me. Did it though? Because if that were the case, why didn't you fucking change? It felt reckless. The issue was not binary, except it is. You saying that you're going to continue the disastrous genocide policy of Joe Biden is in fact very much a binary issue, and you knew that and your polling was telling you that. What was reckless was that knowing by not moving your position on Gaza, you were risking losing the election, and you did it anyway. Never gonna stop using this amazing Ta-Nehisi Coates quote. If you can't stand up against genocide, then why should I believe you can stand up for democracy? Actually, people don't have enough smoke for Kamala Harris, because not only was she being incredibly immoral by refusing to move on the genocide, the fact that she knew that this could cost her the election and she refused to move anyway, diabolical. No one helped Trump more than you. I know this is hard for Democrats Democrats like Kamala Harris to understand because you guys are so fucking entitled. But it is in fact your job to earn the votes of the people. That's what campaigning is for. You guys think that we work for you. And that's why you have a 21% approval rating. Democrats are used to not having to offer their voters anything and being able to coerce people to vote for them by holding what little rights we have left hostage and saying, but Trump. And they made that bet because bullying people into voting for them usually works. I think what they didn't anticipate is that demanding that we support genocide was a bridge too far for many of us.
When I saw this headline, my feelings were a little bit hurt because I realized that these people never really cared about Gaza. They just wanted an excuse to be racist. Whenever I hear any type of protest about Gaza and Palestine is always at a Kamala Harris like rally event or something in relation to Kamala Harris. Never mind that, you know, you have Cheeto in office who said, I'm going to turn Gaza and Palestine into the next French Riviera. And you never hear about these protesters ever going to a Joe Biden like rally or event protesting in the name of Gaza. And he was the president of the United States. I really think that these people are funded by some type of Republican or conservative super PAC because it makes no sense. To put 70 years of U.S. policy on one single person, a black woman no less, is absolutely diabolical.
Hey, the pro-Palestine movement is never beating allegations. It's just an ops. Because listen, Kamala Harris was in New York City for her book tour last night, right? So some pro-Palestine people bought some tickets. I got her book right upstairs on the porch reading it right now. Bought some tickets, and when she's up there talking, they decided to heckle her. The same people, same group who a week ago were heckling Barack Obama when he was on stage. And Barack Obama and Kamala Harris pretty much had the same answer. Barack Obama said, I'm not the president. And Kamala Harris said, I'm not the president. And you know what's interesting about both of those replies is that the actual president that they helped elect was in New York City 2 days ago, and the hecklers were nowhere to be found. And that's how you know that man has been in office since January, and maybe there's been 1 or 2 quiet protests, but that man has been in public a lot, and they're not protesting him. They're protesting the woman, the black woman.
All of you guys going to protest Kamala Harris at her book tour to interrupt, to scream about Gaza, I've got to be the dumbest people I've ever met. What sense does it make to interrupt someone at their book tour who's not the president? There is nothing she can do. Have you been to the White House? Have you stood outside on Pennsylvania Avenue? The White House is right down there. Right down there. Pennsylvania is right down there. I live in Washington, D.C. You can go right down the street. You can go yell at him. Y'all will go interrupt Harris talking about her own personal experience for her book tour before you go interrupt the president who decides policy, who determines what actually happens overseas. Y'all give black women the kind of animosity you would never give that white man, and you should examine why that is. Anyways, keep screaming at someone who can't do anything, who tried to do something, who tried to run, who didn't win. Take a Civics 101 course, learn how government works, learn who's in power.
Yeah, see, that you heard that, okay? The Democrat Party, right, the far left is a full-blown clown show, right? That is what we just witnessed, okay? Because you have one side that has decided to go after Kamala Harris because she was in power. When she was in power, she did not do anything, right? She didn't do what they wanted her to do. And you have another side of the left defending Kamala Harris, saying, no, you actually need to go after white man Trump, right? Stop being racist, right? It's racist to criticize Kamala Harris for not doing enough on that issue. And this really shows you the conundrum that the Democrat Party currently has to deal with when it comes to their coalition that is currently falling apart, right? The racialists versus the pro-Palestine extremists. This is probably my favorite conflict that is currently happening within the Democrat Party, within the far left circles of freaks and lunatics, right? the racialists boo-hoo-wine crying about racism, and the pro-Palestinians boo-hoo-wine crying about Gaza. Yeah, the victimhood contest never ends, okay? And Kamala Harris may be the queen of victimhood here. And I think that, personally, this is just another sign that her career is done, right? It's over. It's over at the end of the day, okay? Again, conservatives don't rock with her. Now, she's pissed off establishment Democrats. The pro-Palestinian extremists, they don't rock with her. She doesn't have a broad coalition anymore, okay? This woman is done. Her political career is done. She knows her political career is done. This is why she can't answer with a straight face in regards to whether or not she's going to run again, because she's not going to run again. Okay, but she got to sell this book. Okay, she has to peddle this book, selling out the Democrat Party, right? Backstabbing her colleagues in order to make a quick buck before going off into irrelevancy forever, right? That's essentially what's happening. She is going out sad, really sad. And it really is a sight to behold. And if I was a betting man, again, I would bet that this is the end of her political career, okay? Which, again, I think that this ending for her is deserving, considering how she should have never been vice president in the first place. The fact that this country made this woman vice president really says a lot about some individuals in this country and what they're willing to vote for. Because if we lived in a sane country, this woman would have never come anywhere close to the office of president of the United States, becoming vice president or becoming a senator. But again, the good thing is that this nightmare that is Kamala Harris is almost over. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.